when they scored to make it 1-1, I thought, right, now you need to change it because you've got your half an hour of your extra time. You've got your, I don't know when he scored. I think it was in the 60-odd minute, something like that.
Yeah, after about an hour, I think.
Yeah, about 60 minutes. So you had half an hour to change it. You had another half an hour of extra time. So there's an hour. And he left it and he left it and he left it. And then he brought Grealish on. Then he changed Rice and brought Henderson on. So like for like. I thought, you've got to be more attack minded. And he left it and he left it and he left it. And then the decision that I could not believe was with 90 seconds to go, he brings on Rashford and who did he?
Sancho. Well,
he brings on Rashford and Sancho, not for them to win the game in the last 90 seconds, for two youngsters to take a penalty in a European final when they haven't touched the ball. And for me, for me, it was 100% down to the manager's choice that he's got world-class subs who can break down any team's defense on the planet because they've proved it time and time again, and he didn't bring them on. So you come up against your first proper football inside and you don't know what you're doing. That's my take. And I've seen Southgate's a hero. He's got them to the final. He's got them to the semi. But if that had been a tactical manager there who knew what he was doing, one of them would have started and one of them would have come on after 60 minutes. And they would have won it because they're so talented, those guys. And you'll see it in the Premier League now with Sancho this season. Watch how he takes teams apart. And that's my take on it. What are your thoughts on the England from qualifying right through?
Yeah, well, solid in qualifying as they always are. Like we said when we were talking about Wales, when you've got 50-odd million people and one that, well, definitely the best football league in the world, you've got those resources to pull together and make a national team from. You always should do well at major tournaments and qualify for most of them. I think probably going to mirror most of the points you said, to be honest. I mainly agree with them. I will be honest, I'll put a disclaimer in first. I've never really felt myself as British or an England fan, so I've never really rooted for them or anything. Not me actively saying I wanted them to lose or anything like that, but seeing what was kicking off at Wembley before the game did make me sort of crack a Peroni open instead of a Carlin. But yeah, to be honest, I think Southgate just got outmaneuvered by Mancini, a bit like Page did against a Danish manager in our round of 16 game. I think he was a bit naive in his tactical approach against Italy, like you said. No, I don't want to be too critical because I think his plan was working for maybe the first half hour. England was seeming to control the ball relatively well. They were soaking up the pressure when it was being applied by Italy, but I don't think they really grew into the game until the end of the first half. You can say having the wing backs worked because, the goal was wing back to wing back. And after about 2 minutes, I maybe think they might have scored too early, to be honest with you. Because it was 2-3 minutes, something like that. So you're scoring that early in a game, you're going to be having unless I think as well, they started to sit back right after they scored, didn't they?
Right away,
so early on, if you've gone 1-0 up after a couple of minutes, if you can be 2-0 up after 15, 20 minutes, even after 10 minutes, you can take your foot off the pedal a bit then and sort of sit back, control the ball a bit more, look for the spaces. You've got some older players in that Italian team. A lot of them have played in I know they've rested a few players in like the final group game against us. But I think I think their starting 11's been relatively solid apart from the Wales game. So they've played a lot of football, as have a lot of the England lads. So if you can pull them about, move them about, tire them out, those spaces are going to start to open up more. You could be 3-0 up before half time. You could score early in the second half, and then they're cruising to the win, aren't they? So I just think he was a bit silly not picking up on the changes Mancini made at half time, and so Italy just seemed to grow into the game, put a bit more pressure on the ball, start spraying about, and sort of pull the England back line around a bit, and sort of create the space. And I think they ended up with 19 attempts, 6 on target. I have to say, I thought player I've never really been that hot on. Thought Jordan Pickford had a solid tournament, but I think he played really well, especially in the final. I think he made 5 or 6 saves.
He was quite poor in the semi when he was his kick in. He was quite
Yeah,
loose.
his distribution was a bit. I think he had one early in this. Oh no, I think it was Maguire actually that put it straight out for a corner. I think that was quite soon after they scored. So I was thinking, oh no, is it? Are they going to start with this already? But yeah, in the shootout as well, he saved 2 of the penalties, didn't he? So
I don't know with what you mentioned there about yeah, I think it was roughly. I'm not sure about what the final possession stats were, but it kept coming up every 20 minutes, and after about an hour or maybe longer, it was 70 odd possessions with Italy. So you bang on there. We scored within 2 or 3 minutes, and when you've got your 8 at the back with your couple of strikers, you're going to sit back in, but then you're inviting the pressure. Yeah. When you're under pressure, there's no outlet. There's no, Kane's inside his own half and Sterling, so there was no outlet to get rid of it, and it was just wave after wave. And to be fair, he should have learned from the semi-final, because when Denmark were down to 10 men and they took Grealish off and brought who did they because they brought Grealish on and they took him off, didn't they? Was it Henderson they brought on?
I think it was Henderson, yeah.
Yes, they brought Henderson on. So, just to totally nullify the game and try and win it there and then. But in the last 15 minutes, Denmark, they were the team that were likely to score, and they only had 10 men. So you're thinking, right, okay, what are you going to do in the final against Italy? They sat back, and then they brought Henderson on, and then they took Henderson off in the final. I don't know. And that was obviously only to take a penalty. But I could understand, why didn't Luke Shaw take a penalty? Shaw takes penalties. And they let Saka take a penalty, who doesn't take penalties for Arsenal. Grealish has come out on Twitter and said, look, I said I was happy to take one. But is this something that we're not it's meant to be all rosy in the camp and all this, but why isn't Grealish playing? He's done really well for Villa this season. He played in 2 or 3 friendlies before the tournament. I'm not sure whether he started. I think he started in one but came off, but he was man of the match in 2 or 3 of them. He comes on in one of the game's group stages, assists and set up both the goals. So is there something that we're not seeing here, or I don't know?